Hi, is this Nick?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, hi Nick. This is Ellie from Sales Den. I'm Nick's AI assistant and just saw you were checking out our client acquisition system. So I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions or were interested in possibly setting up a demo call.
Oh, yeah. I remember checking you guys out. Yeah, I would be interested in setting up a call.
So if you don't mind me asking, what does your business do exactly?
Yeah, essentially, we just build AI solutions for service-based businesses.
Got it. And about how many leads are you currently generating every month?
Yeah, we generate about 200.
Awesome. That's exactly the kind of business we're set up to help. To give you the quick rundown, we build AI sales systems that help businesses turn leads into booked calls without the manual follow-up or wasted hours on unqualified leads. Do you have a few minutes within the next couple of days to set up a demo call with Nick? He'll be able to walk you through exactly how we do this, how we've helped clients, and see if it's a fit. There's no commitment needed at all from you.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a specific date in mind for that?
Yeah, whatever soonest availability you guys have is fine with me.
It'll just take a sec. We have an opening on Friday, April 18th at 9 a.m. Would that time work for you?
Yeah, let's do it. That was an AI agent chatting with a prospect over the phone, answering their questions, qualifying them, and booking a call for our sales team to close them. So we have been quietly testing this on our own company and a dozen others, from medical clinics to real estate teams, solar companies, and other service-based businesses. And the results that we have seen so far was more booked appointments, lower cost per lead, higher return on ad spend, less burnout from sales teams dealing with all the tire kickers and angry callers, and no need to hire an expensive SDR just to follow up with leads all day. So in this video, I'll be breaking down how this system works, how we built the system using end-to-end for most of the backend automations with over 15 different workflows built out. We've also used VAPI to power the phone calling and Supabase to track every single interaction to actually allow for personalization in every response and track the performance of the agent. So this isn't just a simple chatbot or another typical Go high-level setup. It's actually a full-blown AI sales system that runs 24/7 and fills your calendar with pre-qualified leads. So you're probably wondering, how does this all actually work? Well, whenever a lead opts in, whether that's going to be from Facebook ads, your landing page, or even missed calls, the AI just instantly reaches out by phone or text message or email. So it's going to introduce itself, it's going to ask the right qualifying questions, and it can even hold a full conversation, just like a real sales representative. So if the lead is unqualified, it filters them out on the spot. If they're interested, it's just then going to check your calendar availability and book them directly into your schedule or wherever you need it to. It can also answer any FAQs, follow custom scripts that you provided, store important lead information, and also route those hot leads to your sales team and your closers, all without needing a single human to lift a finger. Now, everything is going to be tracked in real time. So every conversation, every booking, and every outcome, it's logged into our backend so that you can actually see all the insights and all the status and all the updates of everything that's going on with this in this agent. So every phone call, every text message. Now, if the leads don't pick up the phone, it's just going to send them into a nurturing sequence where it's sending them text messages, emails of case studies, and other social proof to just ensure that every lead that you're reaching out to is being really capitalized on and squeezed as much as possible. So for us and our clients, it's been the difference between burning out and chasing leads and missing hundreds of opportunities, and then waking up to a full calendar of qualified leads and booked calls automatically. Before I get into all the technical builds and all those different workflows built within N8N, VAPI, Supabase, I wanted to showcase some of the results that we have gained recently. First up, we have Bannerland land acquisition. So before, the company was spending heavily on direct mail and outbound campaigns, but they were struggling with their inbound lead management. So they already had leads coming in. I would say about, maybe 10 leads a day. So first, they tried overseas call centers, so having people all over Asia just handling all of these calls. But what they found was inconsistent quality, poor scripting, and high lead drop-off. So from there, they just switched to local call centers, and they had the same issues here. Eventually, they had their closers answer the call live, but it burned them out. Angry callers drained their energy, and real leads weren't being handled properly. So even the warm leads were being lost to voicemail, where many would call, not leave a message, and just never be followed up with again. They would just, disappear into the void. After working with us, all of their inbound calls are now being answered instantly with our AI system. So the AI from here is just going to filter out the low quality leads and collect property info, like if they have access to the property, what utilities, improvements that they've made. And they just push these qualified people directly to teams where they can just set up a call with them. So every call summary is then being stored in Supabase that we set up, giving the team insights into their land characteristics and how the calls actually went. Maybe if there's improvements that need to be made on the call, it can then suggest that after. So with this, after the first 30 days, they had 300 plus inbound calls handled, over 60 warm leads passed the acquisitions manager, and one deal of theirs was closed in just 2 weeks from this AI system. And this deal generated them $93,000. Another result: Elevate Dental Practice Group. Before, they were relying on front desk staff to follow up on leads from paid ads. Many of their leads slipped through the cracks. After working with us, though, the response rate improved from 28% to 52%. Booked appointments increased from 12 to 40 per month. This is a 233% increase. The show-ups rose from 6 to 29 per month. Monthly revenue grew from 18,500 to 74,200. And the ROAS went from 4.1x to 19.8x. Here, we have Bright Soul Solar. After working with us, the response rate improved from 19 to 41%. Revenue, 22,000 to 86,000. AI qualified and booked 3 deals within the first 10 days. We also have Strive Legal. We have Fit Pro Systems, and there's more that I'm not even including in here. So with these clients, we were going from them not even having any sort of systems in place to follow up with all of these leads and actually book calls with their sales teams. So now they're actually dealing with red hot leads. They're not dealing with unqualified people. They don't have to deal with any burnout. And we're just following up with 10 times the amount that they were before. So a lot of the times they just weren't following up at all. And that's why we were seeing such a high improvement in their monthly revenue. Because let's say they were dealing with 100 leads coming in per month. Maybe a few of them would turn into a booked call. But now every person that is turning into a lead has a much higher chance of actually converting into a qualified call. So that's great and all. Now let me just show you how we were actually doing this with our framework. First things first, we are starting off with a lead opting in. Now within this can be from ads, it can be from a landing page, just a simple landing page, collecting emails, collecting phone numbers, also a lead magnet and whatever else. So leads from here, they're just going to be added to the CRM. So a lot of the times our clients use Go High Level, HubSpot, Follow Up Boss. So it really depends. And we could also just work with really any CRM and integrate that within the system, which is one of the greatest parts because it is very malleable. From here, once the lead actually opts in and we have collected their personal information, this part is completely optional, by the way, but we have found that it converts the best is just conducting an immediate AI call, is just conducting a phone call. Generally, a couple minutes after they opt in, if they don't book a call, it's going to call the lead. The goal of this call, what you can see down here, is to confirm who the contact is. So if I fill out in the opt-in form, I'm saying Nick Peruski, it's just going to call me to say, hey, is this Nick? As you saw from the demo that I was showing you guys earlier. You will also want to qualify. This is one of the most important pieces. So we're asking these questions like, how many leads are you generating per month? What's your monthly revenue? Because we don't want to actually book sales calls with people who aren't going to be qualified and people who aren't going to have the budgets to work with a team. Next, we're just going to answer any FAQs for them, answer all their questions, try to nurture them and warm them up a little bit. So this is just going to put the sales closers in a position where it's, easier to actually close them and get that deal closed. Just nurturing them if they are unsure, give them any reassurance, show them some quick social proof, and then book that demo call directly on the sales team's calendar. From here, it can go a few different routes. So if they don't answer the phone, well, we're first going to leave a voicemail, and then we'll go down this entire nurturing sequence, which I will get into in a second. If they do answer, they're going to book a call, or if they do answer, to book a call. So those are the 3 different routes. And of course, the phone calling is completely optional and really depends on the industry if we're going to be calling them or if we're just going to be instantly texting them and leaving an email. So let's go down the no answer. Somebody opts into our funnel, we call them, they don't answer. Here's what's going to happen. First things first, we're just going to leave a voicemail. We're going to say something like, hey, this is Nick from Sales Done. I saw you just filled out our form. I wanted to see if you had any questions or any concerns that I might be able to answer. And if you would be interested in, doing a sales demo. So obviously it's going to be dependent on what you're going to want to say within your message. From here, we're just going to send a follow-up message. Generally what we do is we do one text message and one email. So we like doing multi-channel outreach. So we could say like, hey, it's Ellie from Sales Done. I saw you just checked out our system and wanted to reach out to see if you had any questions or concerns. So something just very similar to the email, making sure that they actually saw our message and that, they're not going to miss out on this opportunity of working with us. This feature right here, it can completely change as you could expect. It doesn't have to be 1 day later. It could be 2 days, 3 days, and so on. But what we're actually doing after this day, we're just going to be calling them again and essentially just repeating this entire process. So call them. If they don't answer, we're going to send that follow-up message, that text and the email. 5 days later, we're going to give them one more call, and then we're going to send a follow-up message. This is going to be the third follow-up message. 10 days later, this is generally when we stop calling them, and we're just going to be sending texts and emails. You should note that we are not going to be sending any of these emails or any of these text messages if at any point they unsubscribe, if they opt out, or if they just say something like stop. It's just not going to send this at all. We just want to make sure that we're not blowing them up in that case. If they don't do any of that, then we are going to blow them up and really just make sure that we're getting their attention and providing them with as much social proof as possible. Now, 21 days later, this is just where we're going to continue sending their case studies, showing them results, and until they opt out or book, like I mentioned. Now, if we go down the route where they are going to answer the phone and they do book a call, well, this just means that they are going to be qualified, the demo is going to be booked. From here, we want to reduce the no-shows. So we're going to send a confirmation text upon the confirmation of the appointment. We're also going to send one the day before the appointment and on the day of the appointment. This was super crucial when it comes to actually reducing your no-shows, because we just want to make sure that they have no chance of missing this appointment. And if they do miss the appointment, it's completely intentional. Lastly, we have the route of the lead answering, but there is no booked call. Mostly we just want to determine why this call wasn't booked, and we're going to be using a little bit of the agentic self-improvement here. So here's where the agent's just going to determine the actions. So this is just an end workflow where we have to determine, all right, well, do we need to send additional information? Do we want to add them to the do not call registry? Are they not ready at this time? Well, if that's the case, well, then we should add them to a sequence where they're going to be contacted in the amount of days that they described, where they will be ready, or perhaps when they might be ready. From here, the feedback agent is just going to determine what went wrong, if anything did go wrong. So this is, like I mentioned, going to be used for the self-improvement of our system. So it's going to say, okay, well, the agent said this when it should have probably said this. So here we're just employing some common sales strategies and tactics, plugging that into the transcript that we just received, that phone call, and really just checking out what went wrong, how could it have done better, providing that back into the system later on so that the system can actually improve on itself. So coming over into N8N, what we could see here is we have a whole plethora of different workflows. So I believe this is about 15 different workflows. So there's a lot that's going into the system. First off, we have this outreach process, which is kind of the moat of the entire system. So if we back up a little bit, we're going to go into the executions, pull up the latest one. Let's copy this to the editor, and we can show you exactly what happens or what happened. Let's make sure that we have this exact scenario. We're going to go into the executions of this workflow, and we can see this should be the one that we were just using, the latest one. As you can see that everything ran properly. Now let's just diagnose everything that's actually going on. Up at the top, this is where we're going to be receiving our request. So for the sake of this demo, what I've done is I just created a form. Anytime that form is being submitted, it's going to trigger this system. So if they click on the ad, they land on my page, it's going to be prompted to insert their information. From there, it's going to wait if they book a call or not. Normally, it's going to wait 5 minutes, check if they booked a call. If they didn't, it's going to trigger the system to actually start calling them. And right here, this is where it's going to be triggering VAPI and making that request. So within here, we can just see we are going to be calling the assistant that we have already built out within VAPI. It's going to make that call. It's then going to see if they're still on the phone or not. From there, once the call is actually finished, it's going to go down a couple different routes. Did they answer the phone or did they decline? Did it go to voicemail? So that's what's going on here. It's going to determine that route. Again, we just disabled all the wait times. Up at the top, we actually went to voicemail. So this is a different execution, as you can see. So one of these times I just clicked decline on the call. It left a voicemail. It's then going to use an agent to update an opportunity, just saying like, hey, this person didn't answer. Let's go ahead and send them a text message and that email follow-up. From there, it's just going to store this interaction within Supabase. So it's creating a user. It's then going to store the transcript, store the conversation, and update the stage. Now, if they were, however, able to pick up the phone, it's going to go down a couple of different routes. Did they book the consultation or that demo call, or did they not? If they did book that demo call, all we have to do is just store the transcript and update that into the CRM. and in Supabase. So we've actually created our own front end, and this is just a visual representation of everything that is in Supabase. So to show you guys this really quick, this is just a dummy account. You can see in the past 7 days, past 30 days. Let's go to all time. Within the all time, we can see the performance analytics. So which is a bar chart of all the amount of messages sent, the amount received, and everything. We have the recent call transcripts. So from here, we could say, hi, is this Nick Peruski? Yes, this is Ellie's from Sales Done. Then on the left-hand side, we could just see some recent messages. We could also go into the contact section. So let's click on Ryan Day, see if it has any information within here. No, this one doesn't have any particular messages. Let's try going back to another contact. Let's check out Ron Porowski. We have messages, nothing there. We do have some stuff within the call transcript. So we can actually listen to some of this if we would like to. It's just an audio playback of what the call actually sounded like. So we're just having some insights into every interaction. You can see here that they did not book a call. We have their information here as well. In any case, let's go back to the workflow. Down here, if they did not book a call, but they did answer the phone, as I showed you in the roadmap earlier, we're going to analyze the actions that were needed, determine if they need to be added to a do not call list. From there, it's going to use the feedback agent. So it's going to say, okay, well, based on all of this, what went wrong? How could we improve on it? What are the critiques? Is there anything that we could have done? Was there any areas for improvement that we could add into the front end? From there, we're just going to be storing all of that information back into Supabase. So this workflow right here, it does a lot of the heavy lifting, but so as you can see, we have a whole plethora of different workflows. As I showed you earlier, we have, the chatbot, and I'll go over in a second what this chatbot actually looks like and what happens within it, because this is an entirely different system that is kind of complementing this other outreach assistant. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you guys what this actually looks like within Vappy. So here we just have another demo assistant. So here we have our assistant. We're just calling it ads opt-in. So this is going to be what we actually use for our funnel when somebody actually opts into our landing page and they're trying to learn more about our company. That's where we're going to provide them this information. We're going to say, hi, is this full name? Within the system prompt, we're just giving it the current time and the date. We provide it with some opening intent. So we say, hi, is this name? Now, based on their response, either we're going to send them down a route where it's going to proceed to the introduction. If they don't, we'll say something like, sorry about that. Your number was entered into our system recently. Did you happen to check out our sales systems from Sales Done within the past day or so? Now here's the introduction. It's just going to say, exactly what you heard earlier. This is Ellie from Sales Done. I'm Nick's AI assistant and just saw you were checking out our client acquisition system. So I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions or were interested in possibly setting up a demo call. Now we could go down this prompt a little bit. It is pretty lengthy. We're having some different follow-up. We're having some different routes. So if they respond with this, it's going to, use some conditional logic and respond with something else instead. So there's a few options when it comes to actually building out these systems within Vappy. And we're actually working on building our own open source system. So we're going to be moving away from Vappy because, there is limited flexibility and we do have to pay for their costs and everything, which is quite annoying because it is an extra 5 cents per minute. Even with using GPT's 4.1, the latest model that they just released, it is extremely cheap, but, these costs do add up for our clients and everything. So like I mentioned, there is a different way to actually building out these prompts, and it's going to be this workflows right here, which is a relatively new feature within Vappy. We didn't use it in particular for building out any of our systems. We prefer to use the prompts, but this is how you can actually, get some visualizations and how to build out your agents and everything. It really allows you to, get a little bit more linear when it comes to providing directions to your systems. So anyways, what you really do is you can add a step. So like you're going to gather information. This, if they respond with that, stuff like that. And here's where you can do the conditions. So I don't want to focus too much on that because we don't actually use these workflows ourselves. So if we go back to the assistants, let me show you the 2 different functions that we are actually employing within this. We can see that we are using booking time and getting availability. When it comes to production and actually building this out for our clients, there's a lot of times where we're going to have to add a lot more tools than this. Within these tools, I'll try to give you guys some quick insights into what this looks like. If we just come to the left-hand side, we go to tools. We have booking time right here. We also have getting availability. So this booking time, it's just going to be making a call to our end-to-end workflow. We're using this from webhooks. So if we come into here, I'll show you guys quickly. We can go into, let's see. So we have the booking calendar right here, and this is just going to actually set up that call. So the getting availability, if we go to a recent execution, hopefully it ran properly. Let's see. So this most recent one, let's see what happened. All right, so let's just go to the agent. we'll see that it says the requested time of 9 a.m. on April 18th is available. Would you like to proceed with this booking? So the input here, which is going to be an entire conversation. So we're trying to give the conversation to our AI agent and say, hey, based on this, I need you to determine what would be a good time. Did they recommend a time, or should you just pull a random time yourself and suggest it? So that's more or less what we're doing here. This is kind of what the prompt would look like. Feel free to pause the video, copy what I have right here. From there, we're just going to actually pull our availability from the calendar. A lot of the times we'll have to get a lot more complex than this if a client is using something like Calendly, or maybe they're using Acuity. It would really depend. If they're using something like Acuity, then we have to set up a different workflow where it's going to make up an API call and going to just make sure that it's going to get the availability from Acuity instead, schedule in Acuity. So it's just adding an extra step and everything. But if they're using Google Calendar, if they're using Outlook, it's just going to make it all that much easier. From there, we're just going to collect the availability and return that as a respond to webhook, passing that back into the VAPI system, just saying, hey, here's the availability. Would you like to book this time? If they agree to book that time, it's going to go down this book calendar route where it's going to, similarly collect that webhook saying, hey, if you are trying to book a call, if you're trying to set up something on the calendar, then trigger this webhook. And that's what's going to happen here. It's just going to create the event, respond to the webhook saying like, hey, your event is now created. And then it's just going to update everything within the CRM. And it's also going to update everything within the front end. So updating it within Supabase and also updating it within our front end. Supabase is essentially the backend memory where it's storing literally every single interaction, as I mentioned earlier. And this right here is essentially just the front end, the visual representation of our Supabase right here. So we can see all time there was 51 messages sent. This is just all being tracked from Supabase right here. So we built out the SQLs to map out all these databases and then translate that into our front end. The goal with the CRM is to, build something that's similar to Go High Level. So we want to be able to eventually build our own AI agents just within here, be able to call people from within here. So all you'll have to do is just upload a list, and then it's just going to ask you for the actions and the plans that you would like to take. So maybe you want to call them and then text them after if they don't respond, or just enter them into a drip campaign where it's going to send them text messages every 3 days or so, something like that. We also have the contacts. So these contacts are just being resembled. Let's see, we have these users right here. So that's essentially what that is. So next up, I just wanted to show you guys the chatbots that we have built out. So obviously we're going to be doing some outreach to these people, but what happens if they try to call these numbers back? Or what happens if they respond to the text? Well, we don't want humans to handle these calls, and we don't want humans to be able to text them back. We want our AI system to actually respond, which means we're going to have to build out a completely separate system to respond to any of these stimuli. So whether it's going to be a phone call, or we have to set up that inbound system. As you can see, if we come over into VAPI, we have our inbound system, and we also have an outbound system. Now, that's just going to be handling the phone calls, but what about anything in regards to these chat messages? So we have right here the chat widget, and we also have the social media messages. So we want to be able to respond to them on Facebook, Instagram, text, email, and also a website chatbot. So we actually built this out with VO, N8N, Supabase, and Go High Level. Starting with VO was just used for the chatbot interface. N8N, what we found was it just lacks customization. So if you tried deploying any of their chatbots onto a website, you can't really get too flexible with them. So you can't input your own buttons, you can't input your own forms. You can respond to everything fine, but it just really lacks that customization, which is something that we needed and why we actually built this out completely custom using VO. We then have Supabase, and like I mentioned, this is going to be for storing every single user interaction, and this allows the chatbot to reference previous conversations for context and personalization. So if there was a booked call, we're going to store that in Supabase. If a follow-up message was sent, store that in Supabase. New lead was texted, store that in Supabase. And as I mentioned, this is just Supabase visualize this front end CRM right here. We also have N8N, which, as I was showing you guys briefly, this is used for our backend setup. So creating any responses, determining which actions to take, getting availability, scheduling calls, adding to the do not contact list, pulling from the knowledge base. Lastly, we have Go High Level. So for one, if our client's already using this as a CRM, we're just going to be interacting with this anyways. But Even if our client is using HubSpot, we're going to add them as a user on one of our accounts. So the reason why we actually use this is because we need to be able to pull responses and send responses on Facebook, Instagram, email, text, and WhatsApp. So normally it's pretty difficult and complex and really intuitive to use Facebook's API. So we decided it was ultimately easier to just use Go High Level. It's completely free for our clients to add them to our accounts and everything. So let's just use it where we can pull the responses and send responses on Facebook and Instagram. When it comes to email, text messages, and WhatsApp, we can definitely interact with them without having to use Go High Level. It's just a lot easier to actually integrate with this, and we're really not using it much more beyond this. So if I were to show you guys these chatbots, a webhook. So anytime somebody responds to a chat widget. So let's see if I could find one really quick. So down here, we have an example chatbot. So it says, my name's Olivia. Anything I can help you with? I'm here to answer any questions or help you book a consultation. So we could type a message. We say, hey, what services do you offer? It's then going to come up with a reply. And let's see. Okay, so it says we offer a variety of aesthetic treatments, including thread lifts, like areas like jaw, neck, cheek, nose, and everything. So this just allowed us to actually customize this chatbot as much as we want. We were able to implement powered by Sales Done AI. We could change like the name of this, whatever. So we can even include any logos, any buttons, any forms within this if we so desire, because we built this out within VO. If you don't know what VO is, it's essentially just allowing you to build your front end system. So building out websites and anything like that. And then we just deployed this on Go High Level website, as you can see right here. Now, if we go back to the chatbot, we can see we're first collecting information within Supabase. We're checking the session ID. We're saying, hey, does this person already exist? If they do exist, we're just going to pull the information that they have stored. So do they have any past interactions that may influence our decisions or any of the responses that we should be making? So it's just going to check that and really ensure that every message is going to be getting the most personalized response as possible. So there's a lot of different functions. We have canceling appointment, getting an appointment, updating the appointment, booking an acuity, checking an acuity, adding to the do not contact list, and we also have the knowledge base right here. From there, it's just going to be responding to the webhook. So a lot of different going to be pretty similar to the Facebook, Instagram, and email chatbot. So beyond that, I would really have to get into a really deep tutorial that would probably be, 2 to 3 hours of this entire system. And I will be uploading that in the future. So make sure you're going to be looking out for that and everything. But yeah, guys, I really just wanted to showcase the system and what's been working for my company and our clients as well when it comes to booking more appointments. So with that being said, I really thank you guys for watching this video. If you are a business owner who is looking to implement a system like this to actually double and even 4x your appointments every single month, then check out the link down below in the description. You can book a completely free call. You can learn more about how we actually do this. But if you did stick around till now, then you should have a pretty good idea of how we actually do this for our clients in our own company. But yeah, guys, with that being said, please check out the link down below in the description if you are interested in working with us and improving your company's booked appointment rate. But again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions or any thoughts, drop a comment down below in the description. And I thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.